Welcome back to Radio Entrepreneurs. My name is Jeffrey Davis. We continue to stream stories of entrepreneurship and leadership as the economy continues to change, and I would say it changes at a faster and faster pace every year. I'm also CEO and founder of Mage LLC, management consulting firm in Chestnut Hill, Mass., and I can always be found on the web. Every once in a while, I like to bring in a co-host, and my co-host of choice would be Evan Macedo, who is VP Finance and Operations at Sapers Wallack. Welcome back, Evan.
Thank you, Jeffrey. It's a pleasure to be here. I think it's been 4 years of interviewing fantastic, interesting guests, and we have another interesting guest lined up for today.
Well, one of my favorite insurance people, someone you know well, someone I know well, David Appel, Managing Partner, Appel Insurance Advisors. Welcome back, David.
Thank you very much, Jeffrey and Evan. I look forward to being here on the show today.
Thank you. David, there's a lot going on with Appel, and why don't you tell us?
Well, we're always busy, and one of the things that we're looking to do now is that at Evan's firm at Sapers Wallack, Aviva and I have gotten together, and we're starting to do a bunch of joint work together, which is quite exciting. Bringing my 32 years of life insurance expertise to the 90-year-old firm of Sapers Wallack, and working together with Aviva to try to find new opportunities. And we've always been friendly competitors through the years, and lived across the street from each other in our offices, and decided to share a roof and come together and see what we can do as a team.
I guess that's a backroom story, which Evan would be familiar with, by strengthening the bench. And the content and the depth of Sapers Wallack is important for customers. And I guess that's what you're trying to accomplish here.
That's what we hope to do. Between Aviva and I, there's more years than we'd like to put together in our experience in the life insurance business.
Well, I understand that. I remember early in my career, I used to go to meetings in conference rooms with board of directors, and people would say, "Who's that kid talking to us?" And nobody says that to me anymore. Now it's, "Who's the old man talking to us?" There's a lot of changes also in your industry, which would necessitate this. Maybe you could go into some of them. I know the gift and estate tax is going to be changing. Why don't we talk a little bit about that and why, again, this partnership is helpful for the market?
Yeah, sure. No, we do, whether it's Appel Insurance Advisors and in combination with Sapers Wallack, we do a lot of work on the life insurance side of things when it comes to estate planning. We've placed a lot of insurance, through the years as it relates to creating liquidity for families to help offset taxes. And right now the planning is, it's no less than it was, a decade ago. The estate tax laws are changing, which always puts kind of a moving pin on things, and we don't know exactly where they're going to end up. But right now we know that in 2024, they've increased the estate tax exemptions to 13.61 million per person, up from 12.92 million in 2023. So a married couple today can protect a little over $27 million without having to pay a federal estate tax. That doesn't mean you're exempt from state estate taxes, depending on where you are and what state you're in. But one of the moving parts that we have to deal with as advisors is, come to the end of 2025, these laws are going to sunset. They're going to go away. We're not 100% sure where they're going to land, but most people feel they're going to get cut back in half from where they were when Trump put them into law many years ago. So we have to, a married couple today could protect 27 million. They may, in a year and a half, only be able to protect 13 or 14 million. So it's a big difference. We're talking about significant numbers, especially when the estate tax is in the 35%, 40% range after that exemption. And people could be looking at significant dollars for every 10 million over that.
Well, it's more than that. If 27 million is 13 million, and 13 million today was probably more like 18 million 5 years ago because of inflation and the cost of things, the supply chain, and COVID. So money is losing value quickly, more quickly than it's increasing in value. And people have to understand that because they want legacy. I think legacy is very important in both of our businesses.
And it's true. And when we sit down with clients, and we have a discussion with them, and these could be clients that are liquid, that have the cash and the assets to pay the tax, or they're clients that, maybe own sports teams, maybe own bricks and mortar, own a lot of real estate, own a small family-owned business, that doesn't have the liquidity necessary to pay the tax. That's where life insurance comes in sometimes, in regards to creating that liquidity upon death when the family needs it the most. And Uncle Sam comes knocking, looking for the money.
Yeah,
Right.
and I know you guys are tossing around that $1 million left and right here, so I want to throw out a $1 million question. You have $27 million, or above $13 million. This is going to be sunsetting at the end of 2025. What should somebody do to protect themselves against estate taxes that they might have to pay? And when should they be contacting somebody to do so?
Well, if they haven't contacted, it's a good question, Evan, and it's a loaded question. And it really depends on the client and where they're at, and what they've done or what they haven't done. The most important thing is to talk to somebody, whether that's starting with us and then we steer you in the right direction with the collaboration that we work with, either estate tax attorneys or accountants or tax specialists. But the bottom line is, get in front of some advisors, explain the situation, see where you're at. I mean, one of the things that you can do is start gifting some of your money away into certain trusts or certain things. One of the things that's been proven in the past with estate tax planning is that many of the programs have been grandfathered. So if you do something today, before the tax law changes, they most of the time can't go back and retroact that gift or make you give it back or whatever it may be. They've always pretty much have grandfathered whatever they put into whatever people have done prior to tax law changes. So the best advice we could do is get in front of some trusted advisors. And that could be us to start with. That could be an estate tax attorney. That could be your accountant. It could be someone at a banking institution if they're someone that your family has worked with. But the bottom line is, don't stay quiet and don't not do anything, because that's where you're going to get yourself into some trouble.
Well, two things, because I'm trying to listen to you. One, you can do these estate transfers and not lose your money if you're a baby boomer, as an example, because you can put it in a trust. So basically it is protected. If you gift it ahead of time, you would know more about how to do that. And you're right, it is grandfathered in. And I always think back to the George Steinbrenner year, was the one year that there was no estate tax, and he just was so convenient to his son that he died that year, and 100% of his estate transferred to his son tax-free.
Yep. And at the same time, like as you talk about the Steinbrenner story, which I've talked about too, I always like talking about the Joe Robbie story in the Miami Dolphins. And when he passed away and Uncle Sam came knocking 9 months later, they had to sell one of the most profitable teams in football. At that time, it was Wayne Huizenga from Blockbuster, who ended up scooping in and buying it. But they needed to raise the liquidity, based on the taxes that were due at his death. So, families, you don't have to be necessarily that family to be affected by tax laws and tax law changes.
Well, just the opposite. If you're a family that has, it's what I call little rich, it can be an even bigger burden and a bigger loss. If you're making $1 billion and you lose an extra $50 million, it doesn't really affect your day-to-day lifestyle as much. And since people who are wealthy in the United States, most of them are little rich wealthy, not big rich wealthy.
Totally. Agree.
So I think you make a good point. Evan, one more question. Do you have any more?
Absolutely. Oh, I have plenty more, Jeffrey. You know me. But as if people know David, they know he's one of the top life insurance advisors in the state. And you've been doing this, you said, for 32 years. So you've sold a lot of life insurance to couples, individuals over the years. I know, because I've seen it, you have a bell curve of all the different points in time where people should consider life insurance throughout their life. What are some of the top moments of someone's life where they should come and talk to an advisor like you to make sure that they're protecting themselves and their families' assets?
Good question.
Yeah, that's a great question, and Evan definitely comes in with a loaded gun, and these aren't simple one-word answers. But when we do our planning, we're non-discriminatory of who we're doing planning with. So if you're this young emerging wealth couple, dual income, single income, just buying your first house, just having your first child, and you need to start protecting a mortgage, you need to start protecting your new spouse, your new child, we're going to help you get that set up properly. So, emerging wealth couples who are looking to do their regular estate planning, and typically that involves us helping them get in front of an attorney and do their wills, and make sure they know who the guardian is of their children and how their assets are going to be dispersed, even if they're in their late 20s or early 30s. And they're kind of building their net worth at that point. And they need to make sure that there's insurance and life insurance there for income replacement. And for paying off debt. And then you kind of reach the top of the bell curve, as I call it, as Evan has seen it. And you have now college age children where I'm at. You have parents who either have needed or maybe will need long-term care. And you're in that sandwich generation. You're dealing with your children still, and you're dealing with your parents. And at that point in time, people have to make some decisions on what they're going to do and how they're going to look at their future planning. And for some people, their insurance needs could dissipate at that point. But a lot of the clients that we have at Appel Insurance and at Sapers and Wallack, their life insurance needs and retirement needs are going to continue well beyond that bell curve and that top of the time when their kids go to college. Because now they need to look at insurance for different reasons. They need to look at it to create liquidity for state or federal estate taxes. They might have a special needs child and they need to look at insurance to fund a trust for that child. There might be a family business and not all the kids are in the family business. So they look at life insurance at that point to maybe make a fair distribution to their children, not necessarily an equal one. They might have charitable interests and they want to leave money to their alma mater, to some charities they feel comfortable with. Just plain old, what I would say, legacy planning. And then some of our clients might not have done the best job with their retirement savings. And they want to make sure that their spouse, even in their late 50s or early 60s, is going to be okay if they were to pass away, because maybe they didn't quite have enough in that nest egg for them. So there's lots of reasons, later in life that people need to have life insurance. And, that's what we're here for, to try to help and get that situation set up. So I hope that kind of answered your question in as little words as I could, Evan.
I thought you were extraordinarily thorough, David, and I appreciated the answer because you didn't give us a glib little one-liner CNN's answer. I know you're going to come back again. You've been a regular on the show, but if somebody's looking for you, David needs to understand their insurance needs, which is virtually every family I talk to, every company I talk to. It's an important topic. It just came up yesterday in a family meeting we had with a client, a large family client, my partner and I. So if someone's looking for you, how would they find you?
Easiest way is probably just go to the web, appeladvisors.com, APPELADVISORS.com. Every page on my website has a book an appointment button. I'm also on the Sapers and Wallack website. You can find us. Google the name and you can find me, and we can go from there. And one correction I want to make from Evan, just so you know, he might have said that I was one of the best agents in the state. But we do work all over the country, and we do work internationally as well. So we can help in a lot of different situations, and not just in the state of Massachusetts.
That's very nice. Evan, you want to give your data?
Sure. So you guys know me. You can find me at sapers-wallack.com. I'm here to help support you for all of your wealth management, executive benefit, employee benefit, and retirement planning needs.
That's great. And again, I'm Jeffrey Davis. I can be found on Radio Entrepreneurs or at Mage LLC, MAGE. And thank you, both of you, for being on Radio Entrepreneurs.